The Bank of Canada is expected to make its next interest rate announcement tomorrow. And here to tell us a bit about what to expect is Frank Napolitano with Mortgage Brokers Ottawa. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Melissa.
All right, let's talk about what we can expect with that announcement tomorrow.
Well, Bank of Canada, the inflation, one thing just to talk about is that there's an inflation report that's coming out later on this morning in a couple of hours. I think Bank of Canada is already set on dropping prime rate by a quarter point based on the fact that the job numbers are very weak, GDP is very weak. So there's a number of reasons that I think Bank of Canada is going to make the move. I believe that U.S. Treasury will make that same move tomorrow afternoon, which again is great news for Canadians who either have a variable rate mortgage or businesses who are carrying debt on lines of credits, or the everyday Canadian that might have lines of credits, personal lines of credits with balances going on it.
So we usually, when we see this inflation rate number, we know it will have an impact on rates, but you're saying this may not be the case this time around.
Yeah, like inflation's a big, for Bank of Canada, they want to make sure that inflation stays intact, but they cannot ignore the fact that the unemployment rate has gone up. 66,000 jobs got lost in Canada last month alone. Inflation's a little bit above, the overall inflation is well within the 2% target, but the core inflation's closer to 3%. Tiff Macklem and Bank of Canada would like to see that number lowered a little bit. One thing that made some headlines, but is actually good for inflation, is the fact that we're not going to charge the retaliatory tariffs to the U.S. will actually lower inflation a little bit, and I think that's what Bank of Canada's plan is.
Is there anything else that the bank will consider in terms of looking at whether to drop the rates tomorrow?
Well, only if the inflation number, specifically the core inflation number, comes out of whack this after or in a couple of hours. I think that might change their mind, but everybody pretty well feels pretty confident. Economists feel pretty confident. Bank of Canada is definitely in a position to at least lower it a quarter point for this time. See what the inflation report is like today and then the beginning of October before they make their next announcement at the end of October. But it sure feels like a 0.25% discount is coming for sure later on this morning, or tomorrow morning, sorry.
And as we head towards the end of the year, do you think we'll continue to see this downward spiral of rates continuing to drop over the course of the end of the year?
I think if the job numbers continue to go up the way they have, the unemployment numbers continue to go up, I think Bank of Canada is going to be put in a really tough spot because, they need to address that. But at the same time, they also don't want inflation to run away on them. So, if the inflation number can stay between 2 and 3, specifically the core inflation, I think the chances are pretty good that if the unemployment numbers continue to rise, then Bank of Canada may have to drop another quarter point. I know in the U.S. they're talking about potentially after tomorrow, another 1 or 2 drops before the end of the year. So Canada may follow suit, but it all depends on what the inflation numbers come back at.
Thank you so much for joining us, Frank, and enjoy wherever you happen to be today.
Thank you. I'm in beautiful Portugal, and it is beautiful here, so I recommend it.
It does look stunning behind you. MortgageBrokersOttawa.com for more information. Thank you again.